This is a submission to the Citizens' Assembly on Biodiversity Loss from Bat Conservation Ireland. Bats are flying mammals which spread here naturally after the last ice age. As the ice retreated, scrub and woodlands, lakes and rivers developed, perfect habitat for our 9 resident bat species. In natural landscapes, bats roost in cracks and holes in trees, in caves and in crevices and cliff faces. Soon after the ice retreated, humans arrived, and in time they changed the landscape by cutting trees to grow crops and graze cattle. Humans also built shelters and houses. Old and veteran trees became scarcer for bats to roost in as the land was cleared, but bats adapted to changing circumstances by roosting in wooden and stone buildings instead. All Irish bats are insectivorous. This means that they consume insects and other invertebrates. Depending on which species they are, they may eat small moths, midges, mosquitoes, or even spiders and earwigs. Nowadays, there tends to be more types of bat species, in other words, greater diversity, and they are more abundant, where there are deciduous or broad-leaved woodlands and waterways. These habitats provide excellent roosting and feeding opportunities for bats. Some of our bat species are considered particularly important. Leisler's bat is rare or infrequent in the rest of Europe. Ireland's population of this species is considered of international importance. In Ireland it roosts in buildings, while on continental Europe it is considered a tree-roosting bat. The lesser horseshoe bat. This became extinct in parts of Europe such as the Netherlands and most of Germany in the latter half of the 20th century. In Ireland, the species is found only in counties along the western seaboard, from Cork to Mayo, and large roosts in the winter or summer are designated as special areas of conservation. All bats rely, at least to some extent, on human structures for roosting. Some species can even be found in attic spaces of modern houses, but many like to roost in older, stone-constructed and slate-roofed buildings. Crevices under bridges are used by some species, like Daubenton's bat, which likes to feed on insects over water. We've been monitoring Irish bat populations since the mid-2000s. This has been done with funding from the National Parks and Wildlife Service and the Northern Ireland Environment Agency. We've had help from wildlife rangers and hundreds of citizen scientists. We train volunteers so that they can all carry out the surveys in the same way and during the same time of year. Monitoring usually involves counting bats as they emerge from a roost in the evening, or walking or driving along a known route and counting the numbers of bats along that transect using devices called bat detectors. We then carry out detailed statistical analysis on the data so we're sure that the results are accurate. Some bat species appear to be doing well at present. The rare lesser horseshoe bat may currently be recovering from some of its past declines. These 2 lines refer to counts carried out by wildlife rangers at its summer and winter roosts. This species has increased since the start of surveying in the late 1990s. Despite these increases, there are still problems for this species with roost and habitat loss. This dark blue line is the trend in Leisler's bat, another important bat species in Ireland. This bat is monitored using a car-based bat survey every year, and as you can see, its trend has been increasing. These lines are those of the 2 commonest species, common and soprano pipistrelle, which are also monitored using the car-based survey and are also showing significant increases. We should remember that any increasing trends may mask previous catastrophic declines that are likely to have occurred in the past. This grey line indicates the trend in Daubenton's bat. It has stayed pretty steady since we started measuring its trend with the All-Ireland Waterways Survey. This green fluctuating line is brown long-eared bat trend, which is counted at its roosts between May and early September every year by teams of volunteers. This trend has fluctuated a lot, but hasn't shown any significant increases or declines. On the other hand, this trend shows the myotis bats. We are particularly concerned that it may reflect possible serious declines in 2 species, whiskered and natterer's bats, 2 species that tend to favour woodlands. There is evidence to suggest that climate change and increased spring temperatures may be driving observed increases in some of our bat species. However, we don't know what the long-term impact of climate change will be. Extreme high temperatures, wind and rainfall events may impact survival of some species, and modelling predicts that new bat species will become resident in Ireland in the future, which may increase competition for roost and prey resources among existing resident species. Bats provide essential ecosystem services. We know that some bat species in Ireland eat insects that are considered pests, like cranefly shown in the photo here, which are serious pests on winter barley in Ireland. In partnership with UCD, which is using state-of-the-art DNA techniques, we are currently researching exactly what bats eat in Ireland. See our website, batsandbugs.ie. There are many threats to bats. These include artificial light at night, because all of our species except for one, the Leisler's bat, show signs of light intolerance. Removal of habitats, loss of hedgerows, semi-natural grasslands, wetlands, pollution of rivers and lakes, which changes the types of insects that lay their eggs in the water and hatch to fly and reduces the number of insects available for bats, and climate change. While we've already mentioned that increased temperatures may be driving some species' increased populations, there are many unknowns about its long-term impacts. So what does real bat conservation look like? Well, it's part of Bat Conservation Ireland's mission statement. We aim to develop a genuine and widespread understanding and appreciation of bats among the public, state agencies and other organisations, and to secure consistent protection of all bat species and the ecological infrastructure necessary to support them. The same could be applied to any species, species group or habitat. It's essential that we secure consistent protection of our biodiversity and the ecological infrastructure necessary to support it. Let's start with land management. We need an agricultural system that doesn't reward landowners or managers for habitat degradation and loss, but rewards landowners or managers for retaining beneficial ecological features, including bat roosts. The new Acres scheme offers little incentive for protecting bats and existing bat features or for enhancing habitats for bats. We need better education about the importance of biodiversity in general, as well as the ecosystem services bats and other species play in our daily lives and in the wider landscape. We need a comprehensive programme of biodiversity training, not just for the general public, but also relevant government departments and local authorities to embed biodiversity into their policies. It's so important to educate and also encourage the small actions by individuals that can help. We need support for bat roost custodians. These are the people who tolerate bats in their houses and buildings, for example via a funded helpline or other means. We need monitoring, research and regulation of artificial light at night. This is a source of pollution that profoundly impacts Irish ecosystems, and there is little or no information on the impact the changeover to LEDs will have. Some research suggests these will cause even greater disruption to invertebrate life cycles than traditional lanterns. We need a well-funded agency for conservation and wildlife conservation rangers who are supported in their role and within the court system to bring prosecutions. How about wildlife connectivity corridors, or the designation of a network of protected, unlit wildlife connectivity corridors across the island to allow movement and dispersal of species and buffer against the impacts of a changing climate? We would like to see better help for volunteer organisations. There's a huge appetite in Ireland for citizen science projects, and these effectively reduce the cost to the Irish taxpayer for complying with EU conservation legislation. For example, the monitoring schemes that we run feed into Article 17 reporting mechanisms every 6 years and help Ireland avoid hefty fines for non-compliance with the Habitats Directive. But running an NGO or community organisation is becoming increasingly costly and more complicated. There's the charities regulator, data protection, financial management, insurance cover, and excessive legal responsibilities are making it increasingly difficult to recruit trustees to boards. We'd like to see continued support for the Irish Environmental Network and its work and guaranteed yearly funding source. We'd also like to see reform of the insurance industry. Thanks to photographers named below, to the Irish Environmental Network for its support, thanks to our network of volunteers and members, thanks also to the members of the Citizens' Assembly on Biodiversity Loss for this opportunity to submit a presentation, and thank you for watching.